Wow.
They're not as good as Jonathan.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so good morning.
Good morning. This is mine as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
gracias.
Yes.
Gracias. Okay, do you want to use for taking a note first?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how about you?
I have one.
You have that. Okay. Okay, so we will continue our lecture, right? Last time we talked about, still remember when we stopped?
Pangea.
Pangea, okay, which is biogeography, which is one of the evidence of evolution. Okay, remember there are 4 evidence for evolutions. Okay, and one of them is the biogeography. And we talk about different type of animals in different continents because of this split, okay, or continental drift. Okay, now we will continue. Okay, we also talk about natural selection, right? There are 3 types. So anybody still remember what is the first one? It is going to the optimum and then becomes smaller.
Directional,
That,
diversifying, and stabilizing.
yeah, that one is stabilizing, and then directional if going one way, whether left or the right, and if it's going 2 different group, that's gonna be diversifying type of natural selection. Okay, now we go to the next, which is about this co-evolution. Okay, and then practically, you actually witness this type of co-evolutions in the nature a lot. Right? One of them is hummingbird and the flower, and then the butterfly, the type of flower that they, pollinate. And one very interesting thing, when we talk about the fig, the ficus, the strangler fig, it has a special fruit that actually still flowers inside. And then only one type of insects that able to actually bore kind of the hole and enter into that and then pollinate the plant inside. Okay, so it's very very unique because it's only one type of organism that able to perform that kind of action. So this one, what we call the co-evolution. What is co mean?
Together.
Together. Yeah, so they evolve together. Okay, usually 2 organisms or 2 species that they do what we call the symbiotics. They work together. They need one another. One cannot live without the other one. Okay, just kind of dating. so so one is actually need the other, and they evolve together. And when they evolve, remember the way evolution do, it is not individual evolution. This is a population, right? So basically, in each of these organism, each species, the 2 species, each of them will have varieties. Like for example, the flowers, maybe they have a little bit differences, right? The same thing with the beak of the hummingbird, for example. They might have differences. However, after years, maybe 1,000 years, only specific length of the beak that will be able to pollinate the specific type of a flower. So this is kind of the stabilizing type of natural selection. Both of them going to the same direction that make them able to exist now and to adapt in this condition right now. The rest, of course, will be gone, okay, because they are unable to adapt to this specific condition. Okay, this is what we call the co-evolution. Now, so examples over here. So you have it in your Some plants co-evolve with animal by developing sweet and nutrition. Again, this is pollination. This is how plant produce sugar. It is actually not for us. It is for what? For the animals that will attract to that smell, attract to that sweet taste, and then the animal will go and actually help to pollinate the flower. When the flower pollinates, what happens? They will create the fruit, and inside the fruit there is a seed, and the seed is the one that will be growing. And there is another animal, they actually have developed the seed or the fruit that actually attract other animals to eat on them. You know, like a bat, the fruit bat, they usually big. I don't see this over here. Mostly you want to see is a small bat, which is insect. They eat insect, they eat mosquito. But in some other tropical country, like in Indonesia, for example, we used to have a very big bat. That actually what happened? They eat the fruit. There is special fruit that they eat. When they eat it, the seed enter into their stomach, and then they just go somewhere. Yes, see. Thank you. Gracias. So they bring that seed into different places, different soil, different area. This is actually how the plant adapt to the condition. They have to be spread away from their parents, just like you. When you college, you not stay at home. Why? We have to spread, right? We have to we have to develop, we have to adapt to different type of condition. This is the way, plants adapt and successful in this, in this condition, in this habitat. So plants able to produce it. There are some other plants that actually produce something that animal don't like it. Right? Animal don't like it. Coffee, for example. Coffee, actually many animals don't really like it. Only certain animal like it, but there are some animal that really, is really bitter. Right? And then cocaine, cocaine. That's actually something that avoid the predation. Okay, if animal eat that, and then what happens? Yeah. That's actually they don't like it. There's a lot of things that actually produced by the plant that avoid them for being what? From being eaten by the animals. This is what we call the alkaloid. Alkaloid. Example, coffee, caffeine. Actually, the name of the alkaloid. The coffee is the name of the plant. Okay, there's a caffeine. There is a cocaine. There is a lot of things like over here. Okay, nicotine, for example. It's actually animal don't like it. Many animals don't like it. Opium. That's one of them. But humans are smart. What? They take it and they abuse it. This is actually abuse when people use a lot of cocaine, a lot of opium, caffeine, maybe one of them also. Okay, but in some case, it's also benefit for us, for medical use, for example. Okay, like cocaine, the opium. Sometimes they can use for like releasing yourself or pain reliever, or even for during the surgery, right? So this is what we call the alkaloids, and this is also type of a co-evolution of also, because a lot of people eat me. A lot of people, I'm sorry, a lot of people, a lot of animals eat me, so I have to produce something that make me unedible. What you call it? Edible and non-edible, cannot be eaten. Okay, so that's the other things that they produce. No, animals, the same. They also can adapt to these environments. Okay, by, for example, camouflage. What is camouflage? What does camouflaging mean? Anybody know what is the? Just that's not really definition, just the meaning. What does camouflage mean?
Hiding with environment.
Yeah, hiding with environment. So you try to blend to the environment. This is camouflage. Okay, many animals can do this, especially they try to avoid the predation. There are also some animals that are actually predator can also camouflage in order to what? In order to able to attack the other animal, the prey. Even in army, yeah, no army use that one, right? They use camouflage also, blending into the environment. That's camouflage. Another things, okay, there is another action or conditions called the mimicry. Now, what is mimicry? You have camouflage and then you have mimicry. What is a mimicry?
When you sort of take on the appearance of another species to maybe deter.
Yeah, so this is the mimicry. You copy other organism. Okay, you see the difference between camouflage and mimicry. Camouflage, you blending to the environment. Now mimicry, you copy other animals, other organism. Okay, so there are two types of mimicry. The first one is called the Batesian mimicry. We're gonna use it over here. Okay, the bottom one over here, Batesian mimicry, which is a good guy, let's say a good guy, the one that is actually prey, but is kind of helpless. He cannot help himself. So he tried to mimic the animals that is maybe poisonous or venomous. Right? Like for example, this guy over here. The two guy over here is actually non-venomous. They don't sting us. But the middle one, the wasp or the yellow jacket or whatever, is actually really bad. And the two species over here mimic, copy, yeah, the middle one, which is bad. So other animals think that, oh, I will not eat this guy because what? It's bad. It's maybe sting me. Right? That's Batesian mimicry. The other example, the other type of mimicry is called the Mullerian mimicry. Mullerian mimicry means bad guy mimic another bad guy. So they kind of have the same code, you know, clothing code, for example, right? So they have similar, but all of them is actually bad. All of them actually able to causing problem to any other animal, but they mimic one another. So become a very big groups that are very similar, and then, you know, other animal will not try to attack them. Okay, so that's the difference between Batesian and what is the other one? Mullerian mimicry. It happens a lot, especially in the insects groups. This is camouflage, again, blending to the environment, to their habitats. Okay. Yeah. And some animals also, they produce toxin. Okay, toxin. Toxin is a chemicals. Okay, toxin is a chemical that can kill other animals. Now, the way they process this toxin, sometimes they use it as a poison or as a venom. You see the difference between poison and venom? What does poison mean?
Poison, if you eat it,
Mm-hmm.
you get the toxin. But
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
bite you.
So poisonous animal, usually they don't have the ability to inject that toxin. So both of them is toxin. Just remember, both of them, the chemical is called toxin. But the poisonous animal, they don't have the ability or the structure that make able to deliver that toxin. The venomous, on the other hand, is the one that have the ability to inject or deliver that toxin. Example is, of course, snake. Snake is venomous. How about frog, the small frog? They're poisonous. They will not really bite you with the with the toxin, but if you bite them, then you will get. Or sometimes if you touch them, it's also the same. So the toxin might enter into your body. Okay, so that's the other type of animals that are able to protect themselves against predation. This is also type of the co-evolution. Okay, this is just the examples of the structure. Now, in your next assignments, what is the next assignment? The week 3 assignment. Animals.
Like the bird thing, but with animals.
With animal and adaptation. You can also talk about the co-evolution, because in this case, you might see animal that really depend on some other animal or depend on the plants. And also there is some animal that only present in one area. Still remember generalis and specialis, right? Still remember the endemic, the guys, the God, they always talking about endemic species in Costa Rica. What does endemic mean? You only found in the specific area. So endemic in Costa Rica, for example. Okay, you will not find it in other places. Okay, so that's the type of assignment. You can put that also description over there. Description, adaptation. You can put also co-evolutions on that assignment. And again, this is predations. So plant actually able also to protect themselves against predation, but producing what we call the alkaloids. So alkaloids is any chemicals that used by plant to avoid predation. And again, for humans, sometimes it's become beneficial. We take them and then we use it for other things. This one is a comparison between venomous and poisonous. Okay. Now, and this is again camouflage and mimicry. Okay, so if it is in the exam, you should be able to compare them easily, right? It's not that difficult. You have a practical knowledge now on the nature also. Okay, now the last one over here. Okay, natural versus artificial selection. We have mentioned this several times. Okay, artificial selection is kind of no, it's the cover. The artificial selection is also kind of actually evidence of evolution, but it is in shorter way, shorter time, and it is actually chosen by human. So human choose the best for animal or for human? For human use. Well, for animal, maybe they don't like it, because if, for example, if you do artificial selection to animal like a cattle or whatever, it's maybe useful for us. But let's say the animal, you release it in the nature. What do you think will happen? They will not survive, because what? They don't really have that ability to adapt to the natural selection itself. Maybe they are become what? Easy prey compared to the wild type of cattle, not cattle. Cattle is already domesticated. Wild type of the animals. Like for example, buffalo, domesticated buffalo, and the wild type of buffalo. Which one do you think is going to be survive in the nature? Mostly going to be the one that is wild type. Okay, you get this one? So this is actually kind of evidence of the evolution too. And there are many animals that has been artificially selected. Especially, plant is actually number one. There are a lot of crops that is coming from the wild, and then now it's being used as the artificial crop for us. They develop, okay, this is the sweet one. the sour one, you're gonna remove it. Okay, this is the one that produce so much fruit, and the other one you're gonna erase it. Now, like for example, the cow that produce the meat, if you watch or if you see maybe the internet, a lot of the cow, The animal, they have a very big muscles just for what? For being slaughtered, because that bigger muscle is the one that we needed. But in the basically in the nature, they will not survive. Can you follow this? But this is just example, the evidence of evolution. Actually, something can select animal, okay, in this habitat. If it is happening in nature, that what we call the natural selection, and this is how the evolution works. If it is happening in the farm, for example, it is the artificial selection. And again, human choose the characters that they like for this animal. Okay, anybody have question for this? Okay, now we go to the practical thing that you observed last time, whether in Monteverde, in Manuel Antonio. Okay, you start with Jonathan. Any things that you can talk about adaptation, you can talk about evolutions, kind of thing that go to your mind and then relate it to the lecture that we have.
One thing I noticed in Monteverde is there was less, I guess, bugs and all that, and there's many more different plants compared to here, because over there it's higher altitude, higher elevation, and different humidity, so you'd see different plants there. Most of them were taller because it was a lot more shade. So I'm assuming the adaptation was that they were bigger to reach more sunlight and avoid the humidity down low.
Okay, that's a good observation. Yeah, if you compare Monteverde and Manuel Antonio, it's really different, right? You see a lot of different things. Okay, you see a lot of different plants. You see a lot of different type of mosses or whatever, and then you can see which one is have more or which one have less. Go to Hania.
Okay. I'm thinking about just from like Monteverde and Manuel Antonio, or can I
any habitats, any ecosystem.
Okay, sounds good. Because I'm thinking about, since we were talking about mimicry and camouflage, I'm thinking about the butterflies that we met at the butterfly farm, and how some of their wing patterns had like patterns that look like eyes, or that look like as if they were an animal that they're not. And so I think that's an example of mimicry.
Mimicry, right? Which one is that?
The butterfly?
No, which mimicry? There are two types of mimicry.
Oh, mimicry. I think it is Batesian.
Batesian mimicry, because that helpless, butterfly try to mimic the eyes of the snake or the color of the snake. So that's a Batesian mimicry. Okay. Any other?
I think that's all for now.
That's all. Okay. Yeah. Okay. How about Elmer? What's your observations?
I think he goes at Manuel Antonio.
Okay.
And he was talking about the termite nest and how the howler monkey, they take the shoots of bamboo. They make little straws of it, because the termite nest is so hard they can't get to it. And to eat them, they just suck them up. So.
Okay, that's So monkey do. I don't know. Monkey have the ability to kind of learn. There are two types of things actually in animal. They have an instinct. So instinct, they have it since they were born. But there is some other thing. What is the other thing? Is learned behavior. Acquired learned behavior. And some animal actually have the ability to not only have the instinct, but they can learn. And monkey and chimpanzee, for example, the ape, they have higher ability to kind of learn. They have learning behavior, but it's not as, of course, as good as a human's learning behavior. Okay? Some animal like elephant also, they can. Some people say they can remember, things. The cat or whatever. Dogs, example, right? If you teach them over and over, what happened? They can learn. And there is a scientist from Russia actually, the one that learns about the animal behavior. Sometimes the way they learn is just by, you know, if you give them treat, yeah, and then you give treat, and then every time he did something good, you did treat, and every time he did something bad, you hit them, and then they learn from that. This is not an instinct, but this is learned behavior. It's not their instinct. Okay, so that's a part of the animals learning. In this case, you know that monkey, they have the ability to kind of absorb something from the environment and use it. There are some monkey actually able to use especially monkey that not live here in the ASEAN. They live in ocean also, on the beach, and the beach a lot of crab, right? And the crab usually in the hole, and then that monkey actually eat the crab. And what did the monkey do to get the crab? Use the tail as the, like when you're fishing, yeah, use the tail, the bait, yeah, use the tail, and then when when the crab bite the tail, you take it and then you grab it and eat it. See, they learn how to do that.
Actually, that reminds me of something else I wanted to add with camouflage, camouflage. Because when we were in Manuel Antonio Park, we also saw really small crabs eating from a plant, and so I think that their color helped them to blend in well with the color of the plant that they were eating from.
Okay.
Did you see them, the little
yeah. Yeah. So what is that? What is that kind of what that action called?
I think it's camouflage.
Camouflage. Okay, yeah. It's a camouflaging. Yeah, because it's blending to the environments. Yeah, that's a good observation. Hey, oh yeah, last one.
Normally, I would talk about monkeys.
Okay.
However, I saw in the Manuel Antonio Park, I saw a weevil on a flower, and I love weevils.
Okay.
They're like they're small beetles that have long, sort of proboscis-like things. I think they're beetles, but they look really silly. But they have sort of adapted to be able to use specialized mouth parts to bore into things like seeds and flowers, so that they can feed on them. Okay. And I just wanted to bring that up.
Do you have the picture? Okay, wonderful. That's just share to us, okay? Because that's the kind of new things that we learn from practical observation. And again, this is part of your learning in this class. And
I think I had put it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it actually
like
break the
a silly little guy.
Oh, that's a good picture.
Yeah, it's a really good picture.
Who likes to bore into things.
Yeah. So what kind of adaptation is that? Do you think it is helping the plant or hurting the plant?
Oh, it's hurting the plant.
Hurting the plant. Okay, this is
definitely not anything coevolution related. It's just sort of
predations, how that animal adapt to the kind of the food that they eat, in this case in the plant, and that has ability to perform that sucking mechanism and breaking the leaf or flower part of the plant. Okay, that's good. Okay, any other observation that you learned from our explorations so far?
At Malta's birthday, the guy said the elephant ear plant, it uses the flower to attract the beetle, which capsules for 24 hours.
Okay.
So the pollen can get stuck on it. That's the main way it reproduces.
Yeah.
And then after 24 hours and like the beetle is dead and the pollen's on it, it opens back up. And lets the beetle go.
Yeah. And the male and female beetle actually enter to the plant in different time. So the male mature first, and then the female, and then doing the fertilizations inside that plant. Okay, so are you with my group, or you with?
I think I was with
the first group.
Other group.
There, okay, the first group. Yeah. So that the one that guides, that also guide us is put that and open that, fig fruit, and then show a lot of actually flower part inside the fruit itself. That's kind of neat because mostly the fruit is mean that it's coming from flower, right? So flower become fruit, but that fruit has flowers in it inside, instead of seed. So that's kind of, adaptation, kind of weird kind of things that happenings in the environment, in the ecosystem. That's natural adaptation and also co-evolution. Okay, any other thing that you wanna bring?
There were, one of the things we saw were very brightly colored, sort of what seemed to be like pygmy grasshoppers, but they were sort of rainbow.
Okay.
And I think that might be, it's called aposematic coloration, which is the sort of opposite of camouflage in that it makes them very visible
for predators,
which deters predators because they're like, oh, they're probably not okay to eat if they're this brightly colored.
Yeah. Sometimes it could be a mimicry also, because some bright animal, they actually poisonous, right? So some animals actually learn if it is bright color, small animal, bright color, they're mostly poisonous, like the frog, for example. Okay, dart frogs, they should have a bright color. That telling other animal, don't eat me. That could be part of the, mimicry, to mimic other animal that have bright color that actually poisonous. I don't really know whether that insect's poisonous or not.
Yeah, it could be. I was just sort of guessing.
Yeah, it could be poisonous too. It could be just mimicry. Okay, because the guy is also talking about there is some grasshopper that has a bright color. That's nobody eat them. Why? It's poisonous. It's very small. It's like this size, and he took it with the telescope.
I also have pictures of the grasshoppers that I was talking about.
Okay, yeah,
so
that might be that one. Yeah, because that guy that bring us, put that on the telescope. It's really small. Yeah. It's really small, but the color is really bright. And he said that grasshopper is poisonous because of that bright color. That's the reason why I say maybe mimicry, or maybe he's the real one. He's the real bad one. Okay. Any others before we close?
I think I'm good.
Okay, good. Okay, just for information, that's part of your assignment. Make sure you observe different type of animals, except bird. Okay, you already do the bird. Okay, other type animal, any animal, it doesn't really matter. Whether insect, reptiles, mammals, and then observe their morphology, the structure, and then don't forget to try to use that morphology as their adaptation. So use your logical explanation to see the connection between the morphology, the shape, the structure, and the way they adapt to the environments. And again, if you want to talk about co-evolution, this is also part of this adaptation also. Okay? I think we're done, okay, for this class today. We will continue next time with the process of evolution itself. Okay? You have a good day then.
Thank you, you too.
And your assignment will be due on Monday next week, so you can have 1 week for this assignment.
When will the final assignment be due?
The final assignment will do after the final exam, because you will do because it's only short time, okay, but it's only very short assignment actually, the last one. Okay, I think this class will talk about
the last assignment for this class is an artificial selection.
Okay, artificial selection. Because the other class, the biodiversity class, they have assignments to the butterfly, about the butterfly farm. But you about artificial adaptation, artificial selections, and what does mean with the evolution itself? What do you think is going to be happens with this animal if human continuously performing this artificial selection? Okay. Okay. So see you later. Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay.